Hi all my dear students, welcome to Sri Jendra Rank Zone classes and I am your facilitator Amit Ajmani, and in today's class we are taking up the question answers based on the chapter Heat. I hope that all of you are doing good, and as per my advice you must have gone through the chapter, learnt it, and now you will be taking this class as your verbal test. Let us see how well you are prepared. Try to give the answers within yourself and just try to check. Try to be honest while doing it. Wherever you feel that there is something worth noting down, make sure that you note it down for future reference. So I hope you are ready for this honest assessment of yourself. Let us see the first question. During change of state, the temperature of a substance. Four options given to us are increases, remains the same, decreases, none of these. Now, when we are changing the state of a substance, then in that case, we know that it is the latent heat which is given, which breaks the bonds and change the solids into liquids or liquids into gases. And when it comes to changing the state by giving latent heat, we must know that the temperature of the substance remains the same, because latent heat is the amount of heat energy which is given to change the state of a particular substance without changing its temperature. Got it? So the temperature will remain the same, and thus B is the right answer. Clear? Coming to the next question. At what temperature will the Celsius and Fahrenheit scale indicate the same reading? Now, if we want to find out the reading which is same in the Celsius as well as Fahrenheit scale, we must know the relation between them. And what was the relation? The temperature on Celsius scale is equal to 5 by 9 of the temperature on Fahrenheit scale minus 32. Right. Now what we want is, we want that the same temperature should be there on the Celsius as well as Fahrenheit scale. Right. So let that temperature be X. So what we'll do is, on Celsius scale we'll place X, and on Fahrenheit scale also we will take the value to be X. So it becomes 5 by 9 X minus 32. From this we can simply calculate the value of X. How come? It will become, we can cross multiply, it will become 9 by 5x is equal to x minus 32, and when you solve this equation you will get the answer to be minus 40 degrees Celsius. Please check it out yourself and confirm that the answer is minus 40 degree or not. So this is the temperature at which the Celsius and the Fahrenheit scale will indicate the same reading. I hope you understood the concept. Baki rest you just need to calculate. Next question is 1 calorie. 1 calorie is the heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by, options given are 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin or 1 degree Fahrenheit or none of these. We know that answer is 1 degree Celsius. This is what 1 calorie is. And we also know the value of 1 calorie. we should know that 1 calorie is equal to 4.18 joules, in case it comes in any other question later on. Fine. So let us come to the next question. The unit of coefficient of linear expansion is. The four options given to us in the question are: is it meter, or meter per degree Celsius, or per degree Celsius, or degree Celsius? So we need to know, and if, I hope you remember that we talked about it in the previous class, that coefficient of linear expansion, or it is superficial expansion, or it is volume expansion. The unit of all the coefficients is per degree Celsius only. So B, per degree Celsius, is the answer we are going to mark. Got it? Next question. The absolute zero on Celsius scale is. Now the absolute zero is actually the zero on Kelvin scale. So if the 0 is on Kelvin scale, what will be its value on Celsius scale? Options given are 80 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Celsius, minus 12 degrees Celsius, or minus 273. So the absolute 0 on Celsius scale is the option number D. It is minus 273 degree Celsius. Clear? Next question. Now this thing we haven't discussed while teaching. So if you know the answer, very good. But if you do not know the answer, you can mark it down. The question says that earliest thermometer was developed by. Was it by Celsius, or Fahrenheit, or Kelvin, or Galileo? Now the best part is, in a thermometer we do have Celsius scale, we have Fahrenheit scale, we have Kelvin scale, but the earliest thermometer was developed by Galileo. This is something surprising also, something funny also, I suppose, contradictory, that it was Galileo who developed earliest thermometer. So D, Galileo, is the choice in this particular question. Got it? Let us come to the next question. The unit of latent heat is. Now, unit of latent heat. We know what is latent heat. Latent heat is basically the amount of heat which is required to change the state without changing the temperature. Actually, the SI unit of latent heat is joule per kilogram. Let us see if this is given in the options. Options are calorie per gram, or kilocalorie per gram per degree Celsius, or kilocalorie per kilogram per degree Celsius, or joule per kilogram per degree Celsius. Important thing is, we are not actually given any kind of actual SI unit, that is joule per kg. So out of these we will find the value calorie per gram, because calorie is the lower unit of heat. Instead of writing joule we can write calorie, and instead of writing kilogram we have used the smaller unit, that is gram. So in these we will mark the A option, calorie per gram, to be the correct answer. Why so? Because he is asking unit of latent heat, not the SI unit. Had it been SI unit, it is not given in any of the options. Right? Then the question would have been wrong, or we could have been given none of these. That we would have marked. But here, when we are writing unit, so it is calorie per gram. Clear? Let us discuss the next question. Question number 8. SI unit of temperature is. This I specifically told that many of the students, they think that it is Celsius, but it is not Celsius, it is Kelvin. The SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. It's not Celsius, not Fahrenheit, not Joule, it is Kelvin. Another thing, we never use degree with Kelvin. It's degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit, but not degree Kelvin. Clear? Now, quite many questions we have seen the examiner asking the units, SI units. So, till question number 8, we have encountered 4 questions asking for the units. Now, what did you learn from this? If you have prepared and gone through and learned the units, perfectly fine. But if not, that means units are very important in this particular chapter. Number one thing. Second thing, conversions of Celsius and Kelvin and Fahrenheit scales, important, which I already told you while I was taking the class, that this conversion is very, very important, right? Degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit and Kelvin scale, you need to know how to interconvert, what is the relation between all these. Okay, so coming to the next question. When vapor condenses into liquid, then options given are it absorbs heat, or it evolves heat, or its temperature rises, or its temperature drops. Now, when vapors condense into liquid, there is no change in the temperature, right? So, C and D options cut off. Next comes whether it will absorb heat or it will evolve heat. We are talking about vapors condensing into liquid. So it cannot absorb heat. It is evolving heat. So B, it evolves heat, is the right answer. Coming to the next question. The quantity required to change the temperature of 1 kilogram of a substance by 1 degree Celsius is called its. Is it specific heat, or latent heat, or total energy, or heat of fusion? We are talking about changing the temperature of 1 kilogram unit mass of a substance. This is its specific heat. Had it been the quantity of heat required to change the temperature of substance by 1 degree Celsius, now it is the whole of the substance, then in that case it would not have been specific heat. What it would have been? It would have been the thermal capacity. Right? So in this question, the answer is A. It is specific heat. Okay. Coming to the next question. Two blocks of lead, one twice as heavy as the other, are at 50 degrees Celsius. Now we have to calculate the ratio of the heat content of the heavier block to that of the lighter block. What will be the ratio of the heat content of the heavier block to that of the lighter block? Is it 0.5 or 1 or 2 or 4? What will be the answer? The answer will be 4 is to 1. The ratio will be 4 is to 1. So the answer is D, 4. Coming to the next question. A and B are two objects. The temperature of A is greater than that of B. This means that, what does it mean? 4 options are given to us. Let us try to relate the options one by one. The first option is the molecules of A are moving faster on average than the molecules of B, or the total energy of A is greater than total energy of the molecules of B, or the average potential energy of A is greater than the average potential energy of B, or the last option is the heat content of A will always be greater than that of B. Now, since we are talking about the temperature of A greater than the temperature of B, so it is not at all related to the potential energy. Directly strike off option number C. Secondly, when we are talking about temperature, it doesn't mean that heat content of A will always be greater than that of B. It can't be always. Now comes the left two options. One option is the molecules of A are moving faster on average than the molecules of B related to the kinetic energy, which we may consider. The second option is the total energy of A is greater than total energy of the molecules of B. So this is the better choice, that having higher temperature means its energy of the molecules of that substance that is more. So we will go with choice number B. Clear? Let's see the next question. Question number 13 says the temperature of a body is an indicator of. Now what does it indicate? Does it indicate the total energy of the molecules of the object, or the average energy of the molecules of the object, or the total velocity of the molecules of object, or the average velocity of the molecules of object? It can't be velocity, we know that. So left is the energy. So the temperature of a body is an indicator of the total energy or the average energy. It is the average energy of the molecules of the object. Clear? So B will be the answer you are going to mark. Let's see the next question. Heat energy of an object is. Four options given. Let us go through the options. The average energy of the molecules of the object, or the total energy of the molecules of the object, the average velocity of the molecules of the object, or average potential energy of the molecules of the object. Now it can't be potential energy or the velocity. Once again we are left with average energy or total energy. Now in this case the answer is B, total energy. Please try to relate the difference between the above question and the below question. Question number 13 and question number 14. What exactly is the difference? In question number 13, we have talked about the temperature of the body, which is an indicator of average energy. But when we are talking in question number 14, we are talking about the heat energy of an object. And the heat energy of an object is the total energy of the molecules of the object. Right? So try to differentiate, try to remember and relate the concepts, and try to make out the language of the question. You need to observe whether it is asking about temperature or heat energy, because both of them are different. We know that. So if we are talking about temperature, it is the average energy of the molecules of object, and if we are talking about heat, it is the total energy of the molecules of the object. I hope you will remember these points. Got it? Let us see the next question. When an object is heated, the molecules of that object, will they begin to move faster, or will they lose energy, or become heavier, or become lighter? when an object is heated, there is no change as far as density of the molecules is concerned. So neither they will become heavier nor lighter, and on gaining the heat energy, they are going to gain heat energy, not lose energy, because we are heating them. And on gaining this heat energy, on gaining this energy, their kinetic energy will increase, and due to that they will begin to move faster, right? So A is the right answer. Next question is quite important, and we have not discussed it while we had our teaching class. So if you find it worth, you may note it down. The temperature of the sun is measured with, is it a platinum thermometer, or a gas thermometer, or a pyrometer, or vapor pressure thermometer? So it is the pyrometer. This is the meter with which we actually measure the temperature of the sun. C. Pyrometer is used to measure the temperature of sun. This is the right answer. Next, a liter of alcohol weighs less in winter than in summer, or less in summer than in winter, or same both in winter and summer, and none of the above. Just try to catch the logic behind it. We are comparing summers and winters, and we are talking about alcohol. Now, when in summers this alcohol is going to gain heat, then there will be expansion. And if there will be expansion, then in that case, the expansion is more in summers than in winters. And what happens if there is expansion? The average weight is going to decrease. So if we are taking a liter of alcohol, it is going to weigh less in summer than in winter. Got it? So B is the right answer. Let us see the next question. Question number 18th. Water is used to cool, it should be cool, radiators of engines. Why? Because number one, of its lower density, or it is easily available, or because it is cheap, or because it has high specific heat. Now the reason why water is used to cool radiators of engine is due to the fact that it has high specific heat. So D is the right answer. Clear? Let's see the next question. In question number 19, the examiner is asking that a metallic ball and highly starched spring are made of the same material and have the same mass. They are heated so that they melt. The latent heat required, four options given to us are, latent heat required are the same for both, or is greater for the ball, or is greater for the spring, or for the two may not be the same depending upon the metal. Now, since these both the balls and springs are made up of same material and they have got same mass, when they are heated to melt, the latent heat required needs to be same. It will be same for both. So A is the right answer, that the latent heat will be same for both of these substances, the ball as well as the spring. Let us come to the next question. Now try to relate. This is a numerical that is coming up. 540 gram of ice at 0 degree Celsius is mixed with 540 gram of water at 80 degrees Celsius. Now, the final temperature of the mixture is. Now, in this, we need to calculate. We need to make certain calculations. We have to note down or calculate how much is the amount of heat which will be absorbed by ice and how much will be the heat given by water at 80 degree. The formula we know is Q is equal to M into L, where M is the mass and L is the latent heat. Right? Now, calculating first of all this heat taken by ice to melt at 0 degree. This is, let it be Q1. We will calculate it. The mass given to be is 540 and multiply by the change in temperature is 80. Clear? So this comes out to be, if we calculate, this comes out to be 43200 calories. Now this is the heat taken by ice to melt at 0 degree. Now when we calculate the heat which is given by water, let that heat be Q2. How we are going to calculate? Again, the formula for calculation remains the same. That is, we know that it is M into C into delta T. Now, putting the values, we get mass given to us is again 540 multiply by SC, specific heat is 1. We know that it is of water, and the change in temperature is, initially it was at 80 degree, then it is to 0 degree. So therefore it will be 80 minus 0 comes out to be 80, and again the value is 43200 calories. So here we can relate that the heat given by water is just sufficient to melt the whole of the ice. Therefore, the temperature of mixture will be 0 degree Celsius, because the whole of the heat that is given by the water at 80 degree to the ice at 0 degree is sufficient to overcome the latent heat. This is equivalent to latent heat. So this is just sufficient enough to convert this ice into water, but without changing its temperature. The temperature remains 0 degree. So this is our answer, option number A. Clear? Let's come to the next question. Now in next question he is saying, again a numerical we have got, at what temperature will the Fahrenheit scale have the double reading as that of the Celsius? One similar question we encountered previously, but there we saw that the temperature asked was same. Here we are asking the temperature on Fahrenheit scale is double that of the Celsius. So if we relate the temperature on Celsius scale to be X, then the temperature on Fahrenheit scale will be 2x. Rest all is as it is same. In order to know the temperature, we need to know the relation, and the relation is temperature on Celsius scale is equal to 5 by 9 into F minus 32. Just simply putting the values, we will write X in place of C and 5 by 9 as it is. Now we will write, instead of F, we can write 2x. X is the value on Celsius, and on Fahrenheit it needs to be double. So 2x minus 32. Now we can simply calculate the value of x by just doing the equations and rearranging it. And when we do it, let us try to solve. What is the answer coming? It becomes x is equal to, I'm opening this particular bracket, it comes out to be 10 by 9x minus 5 into 32 becomes 160 by 9. Taking 9 common, multiplying it, we can also write 9x is equal to 10x minus 160. Taking 160 there and x here, we will get 10x minus 9x is equal to 160. So x is equal to 160. So this is in option number C. So at 160 degree, the value of Fahrenheit scale is just the double reading to that of the Celsius scale. Clear? Let's come to the next question. How much heat is required to convert 1 kilogram ice at 0 degree to water at 0 degree? Given to us is the latent heat of ice is 3.34 into 10 to the power 3 joule per kg. Now, we know that the amount of heat is calculated by the formula M into L, where M is the mass, L is the latent heat. Since the mass given to us is 1 kilogram, latent heat is given to be 3.34 into 10 to the power 3 joules per kilogram. So this will be our answer. It is the second option, 3.34 into 10 to the power 3, but the unit will be joules because we are calculating the amount of heat required. Got it? Let's see the next question. What will be the thermal capacity of a vessel of mass 20 kilogram and specific heat 450 joule per kilogram per degree Celsius? Now we know that the thermal capacity. How to calculate the thermal capacity? The formula is Q is equal to M into C, where M is the mass and C is the specific heat. Mass given in the question is 20 kilogram and specific heat given in the question is 450 joule per kg per degree Celsius. Simply multiplying 20 and 450, we will get 9000 joule per degree Celsius. Right? Because joule per degree Celsius is the SI unit of thermal capacity. Got it? So C will be the correct answer. Try to relate the next question. When hot C, it should be tea I suppose, hot tea is mixed with cold tea, the temperature of the mixture first decreases, then become constant, first increases, then become constant, continuously increases, or is undefined for some times and then becomes nearly constant. Now please try to relate that cold tea was kept and the temperature of I'm saying C. The temperature of cold tea is obviously less. We are mixing hot tea into it. So what will happen is, the moment we'll start mixing the hot tea into the cold tea, the temperature of the cold tea will continuously increase. Right? It cannot decrease. Right? It will continuously increase. So C is the right option. Coming to the next question. There are two statements given to us. Let us see the first statement. The first statement says that a beaker is completely filled with water at 4 degrees Celsius. It will flow both when heated or cooled. Now, is it a true statement or a false statement? It is a true statement. Why it is true? Because water has maximum density at this temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. If we heat above 4 degree, then or if we cool below 4 degree, even then the density of water will decrease, and if the density of water will decrease, the volume will increase. And therefore in both the cases, whether it is heated or cooled, this beaker which is completely filled with water is going to overflow. Right? So this is a true statement. Second statement is there is expansion of water below and above 4 degree. Absolutely true. It is one or the same thing which is given in statement number A, but just the language is different. Above 4 degree and below 4 degree, there will be expansion of water. The reason behind that is that the density is maximum at 4 degrees Celsius. So A statement is true. Both A and B are true. So we will mark this A option that both A and B statements are true. Clear? Coming to the next question. 27th. Relative humidity is expressed in. Now relative humidity. What was the formula for relative humidity? If you remember, relative humidity is calculated by the formula small m, that is the mass of water vapor actually present divided by capital M, that is the mass of water vapor required to saturate, multiply by 100. This is what relative humidity is, and we have learnt. I especially told you that relative humidity is always expressed in percentage. It is not in fractions or whole numbers or decimals. It is always expressed in percentage. So D, percentage, is the right answer to question number 27. Got it? Coming to the next question. The SI unit of thermal heat is. Now thermal heat or thermal capacity, both are one or the same thing, and the SI unit is, the options given to us are joule per Kelvin or kilojoule per Kelvin or joule per degree Celsius or kilojoule per degree Celsius. When we talk about SI units, it cannot be kilojoule, that is for sure. Now whether it is joule per Kelvin or joule per degree Celsius, the answer is joule per degree Celsius, because it is the amount of heat energy which is required to raise the temperature of a body, whole body, by 1 degree Celsius. Got it? So joule per degree Celsius, option number C, that is what you are going to mark. Coming to the next question. The number of equal divisions present in Fahrenheit thermometer are. How many divisions are present? The four options given are 100, 120, 270 and 180. What is the answer? I hope that all of you must be knowing it. Quite a simple question. The answer is of course 180. We know that on a Fahrenheit thermometer, the lower fixed point. What is the value of lower fixed point? It is 32 degree Fahrenheit. And the upper fixed point is 212 degree Fahrenheit. So taking the difference, there are 180 equal divisions which are present in a Fahrenheit thermometer. Got it? Coming to the next and the last question of the chapter and of this class. This is the number of equal divisions present in a Celsius thermometer are. Again, the options are 120, 180, 100 and 270, and we know the answer is 100 divisions. A Celsius scale has 100 divisions. Its lower fixed point is 0 degree Celsius and the upper fixed point is 100 degrees Celsius. So these values, the difference comes out to be 100 equal divisions of 1 degree Celsius each. Right? So the answer will be C, 100 divisions. So students, this is all about the questions related to the chapter heat. If you were able to observe, then in that case you should have made out that the SI units, very important, of everything, whether it is specific heat or latent heat or relative humidity, anything, right? Second thing after SI units is the formula. In this chapter we have got a few formula of coefficient of linear expansion, coefficient of the superficial expansion, coefficient of volume expansion, that was in the case of the solids, and of course their particular SI units per degree Celsius. Then we had a few formulas related to the temperature scale. I keep on saying that it is one of the most important relation in this chapter, the relation between the various temperature scales, Celsius, Fahrenheit, Reaumur and Kelvin. Especially the temperature on Celsius and Fahrenheit, you have seen 4 or 5 questions, right? Then you need to relate the formula for thermal capacity, that is the thermal heat, the formula for specific heat, the formula for latent heat, as well as the formula for relative humidity. Clear? So these formulas are quite important because we are given lot many questions based on it. We also need to relate about calorie, and calorie, 1 calorie is equivalent to 4.18 joules. Clear? So make sure that if you are not prepared, if you have not learned these units and these formulas, please go through them, please learn them and make sure you remember them. Clear? So time to end the class. This is all about the chapter heat. I hope that whatever we have studied, all the questions, you already either must be knowing the answers because lot many were quite easy. 2 or 3 questions were there which were a bit different than what we taught and studied in our actual class. Right. For example, that pyrometer, the instrument used to measure the temperature on the sun, it was a different question. Got it? So I hope you must have noted them down, all the different questions or all the questions where you were wrong, and now you are going to compensate for your lapse and you will revise them, right? So let's catch up in the next class. Till then, revise your heat chapter. If already done, revise your previous chapters, and in the next class we'll be coming up with the next new topic, right? Make sure you note down all the formulas at one place for future reference so that you can revise them after every 10-15 days so that they can remain refreshed in your memory along with the SI units of various things. You can make a table or a note on 2 or 3 pages at the back in which you can chapter wise note down all the things and their SI units, or you can note down all the things along with their formulas, or combinedly you can note down the things along with their formulas and along with their SI units. And make sure after every 15 days maximum, I'm saying, just go through a quick review of all the things you have written. Clear? So guys, study hard, take care of yourself. We'll meet soon in the next class. Goodbye everyone.